So, Jagdish sir, thank you once again for giving us your valuable time. I know it's a very busy day for you, and since you have so much of responsibilities from a job front, also, I know in office also you're quite busy. So, just for the knowledge of everyone, Jagdish sir comes with close to over 2 decades of experience in terms of his pedigree of organization. He has worked with Microsoft, IBM, TCS, and currently he's the head of sales BFSI in entity data.
Okay, wow.
All right. So Jagdish sir carries a great amount of experience in all these companies, and I thought who nobody else can be better than him in talking about the topic of security.
Right,
Securing your remote workforce.
right. That's true.
Right. Right. So over to you, Jagdish sir.
Yes.
So I'll give you a very unique use case that was thrown by one of the EDs to me, and this was after the lockdown.
Right.
What happened with the lockdown was the triggering effect was contact centers were basically people were asked not to come to contact center, as you know, because this was more of government enforcement rather than the call that banks took. So
Right.
when you have no contact center people, your customer experience takes a toll,
Right.
right? How would you manage the calls? I mean, if I were to have a guy with an average handling response time of 7 minutes, and I have about 1,200 people in HDFC or ICICI, I during pandemic ask everybody to go home and work from their laptop, desktop, whatever.
Right.
So one use case that he gave to me was, Jagdish, what if I give you access to my core banking, and how do I ascertain that Natasha or Keith does not have his spouse or a mother or a father or a cousin looking into the core banking, because this is confidential data of a customer.
Right.
You
Right.
understanding my point? So it is for the role, for the access that the individual is handling. So we quickly huddled up with a company in Pune called Ecops,
Mhm.
handled that use case, and then went up to them and said that these are some of the solution sets that we can give. So
Right.
net, what I'm trying to tell you is that yes, pandemic threw a lot of challenges to us, but it was also a playground for us to innovate and
Right.
innovate very rightly. These use cases that I just mentioned, it was called shoulder surfing. That if I have an Irfan coming over to lunch for my house, how would he not look into their data, right, which is customer
True.
confidential, and it is a breach from the bank side. So such use cases came up, thrown to us, and then we thought, like, it was a very good time for us to all brainstorm, put our brains together and come up with a framework. And that's why we came up with CARE, because the theme that Irfan threw to me was remote workplace.
Right.
Other bank, I would not name the bank again, a very large private bank in India, asked me that, look, Jagdish, people are working from home. I don't know whether he's having coffee, he's sleeping. How would I measure productivity
Right.
of my developers? And that was
Right.
a use case that got thrown, that, if I have measured productivity, I have a PL on his head, I have a team leader, I know what is coming. We have daily stand-ups and sprints, right, in the agile methodology. But in
Right.
the work from home scenario, how would you give me a tool that actually measures the unique productivity of an employee? So
Right.
we then again put very senior guy from a solutions lab, and he came up with 3 days of a demo, and it was our absolutely rocking product demo that we had. We looked at each individual's profile. We said how much time is he spending on O365 if it is mail system, how much on O365 is going within Teams, how much time is he giving on WebEx or a Zoom. So such were the unique cases. The point I'm saying is that, look, people always say that you COVID, hey, we can't help you. I mean, this is thrown at us.
Right.
COVID is not of my making or Irfan's making. That was always there, right? It's a new normal. But the
Correct.
point was, how as we, as architects on the ground, take that as a challenge and build something that actually helps and leverages the business. And that
Right.
is the thought process that we need to all keep in mind. Over to you, Irfan.
Right.
I
Right.
hope I made sense, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So basically, you've kind of highlighted the challenges. Basically, managing remote employees.
Yep.
Correct.
All
Yeah.
work from home. Work from home.
Right, right. So, Jagdish sir, according to you, when you are working from home, As per you, what is the importance of communication? How would you communicate with the remote guys?
See,
Would
there are
you?
two aspects of it, Irfan. One is external aspect, which is dependent on the what I call the bandwidth provider, what we call the telecom service provider, right? TSP. It is basically boiling down to bandwidth. I've even seen, and you are aware, right? I've shared. Even when going to high senior leadership teams, we very often seen that either the video goes down or network is a problem, bandwidth is an issue. Let me tell you one thing, guys. What I learned in this time was one of our leaders stated that any meeting that I host, I want the video on. Because the moment you ask people to have the video, they are more attentive. And I like that. I really like that because it actually means a lot. When you
Right.
keep your video off, I don't know where are you, what are you doing, and stuff like that, right? Because most
Correct.
of the people are muted. But one thing I learned primarily from this leader is that he said, every meeting that you get into with me, guys, make sure you're in a place where your video is on for 45 minutes that you have the review. And I loved it because actually it means that people are more attentive, people can collaborate, and people can participate. So that's a downside of communication, Irfan, as you asked me. Other big thing that I saw was how nimble are you as an organization to give access to people on apps. And typically from a banking insurance side, right, when you have pressure on cross sell, upsell, right. One other thing that I learned in the pandemic time was that what got sold was insurance. People bought a lot of health insurance. People bought a lot of life insurance. And the other thing that got sold was Wimbledon. I'm hearing that in last 112 years they never secured, but this time they actually secured their, because Wimbledon didn't happen, and then they secured that and bought a large insurance for pandemic. So the point is that in this, how do you ascertain that you get the right documents? How do you get the medical transcripts of people to help you enable whether to give him an insurance, offer an insurance or not? So there came the advent of eKYC, if you know, or video KYC.
Right.
Kotak and IndusInd started something like video KYC. Like I am on a call right now, and I want to basically go for a loan. It's not possible for me to come down because my building is locked today, right? I can't move out. So are you
Right.
declining that loan to me because I'm your privileged customer? So then came the eKYC, that as long as I have your biometrics, I have your face recognition captured, I can basically take a call. On similarly on the insurance side, what happened was they moved to something called as tele underwriting. Tele underwriting means a questionnaire that comes to you. I know Irfan doesn't smoke, but I know Irfan's history. And the moment we basically give those in in flat 5 minutes using AI ML, they are able to draw what's the risk profile of a customer and how much can I basically offer him in terms of premium. So that is where I think companies actually provided that systems to kind of come over this pandemic time.
Right.
That is on the banking insurance side. On the manufacturing and the retail side, most of the kirana shops, and I love this example for India, moved to something called as UPI, digital payments, right? Because
Right.
what got delivered at the security gate of your building, and then he could not come and visit your residence in this time. So you are not giving and dealing with cash. You are only either doing a Google Pay, a WhatsApp Pay, or a Paytm, or a PayU and stuff like that, right? So uh, it basically opened up more forays for organizations to be digital. Most of the organization CEOs I talk to, I tell them that your organization looks to be digital, but it is not acting digital. But I think in the last 1 year that we saw, Irfan and others, they actually started behaving digital more from that aspect,
Right.
right?
Correct. Correct.
Payment
Correct.
systems, collection systems, security was very paramount because none of these systems were basically secured.
Right.
I could easily get into and hack into it, and ransomware was very prevalent. You know this company called CTS, right? Whose MD's machine laptop got hacked, and there was a
Right.
big payout that he had to make, right, in millions of dollars. So
Right.
what it does is it does not only compromise your systems, but it actually erodes and takes away your brand, and that is irreversible to me, right? You can't redeem that. Once your brand is lost, the trust is lost, the respect is lost of your customers.
That's true.
Right. So we have the marketing team, and they very well know brand reputation and how to build a brand. It takes a very long time, but one mistake like this can lead to completely brand erosion. I completely agree with you, sir.
Absolutely. And then those customers, no, for me, will never be able to come back to you, Irfan. Do whatever it takes, because the cost of acquiring a customer, at least in these times, is significant. It's at least about 4 to 5 times X of actually retaining a customer like me or you or people on the call, right? Because
Correct.
we are digital natives, right? We are all in that frame, right? So we understand the use of technology, the application of technology vis-a-vis people in the hinterland or rural India. But
Correct.
even they have realized that digital makes a lot of life easier for them now these days.
Right. So, that, sir, gives me another question to ask you. In your opinion, how do companies can use technology to enhance, the culture of learning and bonding with each other? In your opinion, what?
Very good, very good. See, I'll tell you, when I did my first work from home and all, I was very happy to look a sneak peek of my team member's house or home, and I
Okay.
could never have got that. So bonding is also how you present yourself. You tell them that I care for you. I didn't mind that a lady with a daughter in her lap was doing my review. I loved it, and this at all will not be presented to us when we are directly in offices, right, one to one. And I'm being honest with you,
Right.
because it actually shows the empathy of a leader, that whether you care, whether you don't care, and then you are also more receptive to the needs of your employees in that sense, right? This is more
Right.
on the personal side, but from a professional side, I think work from home also gave some leverage to people to tweak their calendars.
Yes.
Earlier, it was very fixated, 2 to 2:30 this webinar, right? But here, with the minds of Zooms and WebEx and Citrix or Team or whatever you call it, Hangouts and all,
Mhm.
it gave people that maneuverability, that lever to kind of adjust your work-life balance. And it was true work-life balance, Irfan, to answer your question, which
Right.
actually got demonstrated.
Right. Right. Right.
Am I making sense, guys? I mean, just
Yes.
to
Yes.
get your 2 cents, marketing folks.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. You are. Yes, you are.
So in a virtual world, you bond very well
Right.
rather than being physical. Physical क्या होता था? Mess to it, Irfan and I used to go out for a coffee, or I
Right.
would used to tell that, oh, let's go down here, let's go for a walk, right? That was it. But here, it actually tells me that beyond your work life, there is also personal stuff that is around you. And I
Mhm.
got to be more sensitive. So that degree of empathy comes out from a leader, Irfan.
Right.
Right. Yes, absolutely. I agree with you. I agree with you, sir. So, sir, as per your opinion or as per your knowledge, what are the do's and don'ts that a company can adapt from a remote workforce management standpoint?
So the do's that I will say is that I would put all my money to give to Keith or Alfin to say that if you need a 2K dollars, please set up a home office. Don't even think about it, right? The other
Mhm.
do that I'll do is that if you are on a very low technology telecom provider,
Mhm.
upgrade that and have a superior 5G, 4G experience. Number two. Number
Mhm.
three, I would tell her that, uh, suit yourself in terms of the capacity that you need or apps that you need to access, because these cannot be shown as impediments,
Right.
right? I'll give you an example. When I'm on a review, we use something called as Power BI, and Power
Right.
BI gets this Microsoft tool. It gets automatically updated in an hour. But what if my client or my client manager or a client director had just updated something? I can't wait for 1 hour. 1 hour is a big latent period for me, right? So
Right.
Right.
his ability to use those apps on the mobile if he's on the road, or the ability for him to access people, tools like SFDC and others, organizations have to be mindful and give access based on the roles, privileges. And that is where security plays a very important task.
Right.
And then not to forget that this underpinning of this is also investments. Companies have to be ready to invest for the right resources, for the right apps, and the right security.
Right.
There's nothing called as free lunch, guys, because if you have you need access, you need virtual desktop infrastructure to be provided, you have to better invest in making sure that it suits the purpose, it's fitness for use. So
Right.
that is one from the company side, and I think it has worked very well. These board conversations that we have been party to in a year are all talking significantly around cyber security, because nobody wants to impact the brand.
Right.
Okay. So
And
you.
from a don't perspective,
Yes.
just a minute and I'll hand it over to you, Irfan. From
Yeah.
a don't perspective, I will say that I gave you an example, right? Video on. I followed it, and I am a strict disciplinarian. You know that, right?
Yeah.
I would want people to basically not give me excuses of being on the road. I'm right now on the road and I'm taking this webinar, right? So
Right.
nothing came between me and all. I mean, it was a professional thing that I have to be there at 2 o'clock and I need to be there. So what people have to realize is that this also might come into your time prioritization, right?
Right.
You got to be very clear. Other don't I will tell you is that technology learning, you will have to reskill. I've seen a lot of challenges where people are not able to reskill themselves in the new pandemic world.
Right.
They are basically very obsolete and they are going into the dinosaur age and saying, boss, I'm okay to work on a desktop. I don't know this.
That's
So people mindset have to kind of, reboot
Right.
and then
right.
be acceptable, receptive to the technologies that are there in the fold.
Right. Right.
Right?
Great.
I have to
That's true.
access 20 applications within the system, and I
Mm.
have to have an AnyConnect tool on Cisco, which means that I need to have an OTP, right, every time, which
Correct.
means my systems are geared up. I am updated on my password. My Active Directory is updated. So all these things people have to learn, right? People have to reskill themselves.
That's true.
Got
So
it.
have a clear mindset. That's a don't from a perspective. And I've seen this happening across industries. People are not very receptive to change. And I know change costs a lot. So
That's
people
true.
have to adapt. It's a new normal now. And it's a part of life, right? I mean, we'll have to accept it, whether we like it or not.
Right. Right. Very well. Very, I would say, very insightful thoughts that you've shared, sir. Now, I will ask, my team if they have any questions for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. Please shoot. I might not have all the answers, but I'll basically make an attempt to answer.
Yeah.
Should I begin ask you the questions?
Go
Sure,
ahead.
yeah.
Yeah, Alfred.
Okay. So my name is Alvin, and I work with Natasha, and I'm a content writer, copywriter. So it's been only 5-6 days since I've started working with ShoreWise. But honestly, I just want to tell you this. From the day one, I felt the team feeling, like I could I felt like I could be part of this team and do my best for this team. But the problem is, like you said, when you in the virtual communication, it's quite better than the real life communication, like, and the bond we can create during that is amazing. So sometimes I find it a bit hard to balance the social life, which I have in real life, and the work life, because I'm always at home working my stuff from 2 to 11, which I'm supposed to do. But while I'm doing that, usually I'm supposed to take breaks, but I'm so much interested in work and the people I work with, so I just forget that I have to take breaks. So how do you think we can manage this balance between work life and social life?
I'll give you a practical example. 48 hours back, Alfin, I had a very important review. This review is where Irfan knows it. You can't miss it unless you have a death or some exigency. And I was in the review with the
Okay.
APJ leadership, and my dad fell down. And the security guy came knocking at my door and said that, look, he's had a fall now. He's 80 years old. I don't know whether he got a cardiac arrest or whatever. But I had to just log off with a simple SMS WhatsApp to my leader that boss, I'm done. I'm logged off. Now what it meant is that what is the kind of respect rapport that you have with your manager, with your upline manager, number one. Number two, had it been me in my office today, I would not been able to handle that exigency which came my way, right? It would have been very difficult. And that's
Right.
why I said that there are pros and cons. Virtual world bonding and empathy of a leader is actually truly demonstrated there, right? And this has just happened on I think when it happened, Thursday evening it happened, right? So he was absolutely acceptable. He said, take care, drop off, don't worry, right? Other case, uh, other side of it, I had one of my best guys, regional sales managers, and he lost his father, and he could not really work because he's working on a big gig, and he said, what, even if I want to wish to go, I can't go because of the pandemic times and all. But we made sure that we could give him all the help that is possible on the virtual world, and he loved it. He had offers from competition. He had at least about 70% of more compensation thrown at him, but he didn't go because he said that, look, my company, my leadership, my team holds me in great esteem. They are there when I need them. And these are some of the very tangibles that an HR guy can actually, throw. You can throw dollars, millions of dollars for rewards and recognition. They won't really matter. But in these times, what will matter is how do you take care of people? So answering your question, right? Uh, 4 days into a job, whether you are there or you're not there, work-life balance, it is all up to you how you connect with your upline. How do you, be able to state your problem? And that I think is more receptive in the virtual world rather than being physical. Physical world, I used to knock at my MD's door, but he was in a review and he used to say, talk to my EA, come back to me. And I had to lose for 5 days to meet him, literally 5 days. But here, at where social becomes very important is that there is WhatsApp. He knows I'm on team, I'm on chats, and I can just communicate to him as if he's there, literally with me. And that is where I think we need to take more advantage of to
Right.
kind of, build a better bond and have more trust and more respect and literally, get the other side to also understand how it feels when you into my shoes. I think he understood when I told him that this is an important review. I need to drop off. I will connect with you certainly later night. He said absolutely fine. Now that is what was not prevalent during the physical time, Alfin. You get
Right,
my point?
right,
Yeah, yeah,
right. So
I hope
Alvin,
I'm answering your question.
right. I
yeah.
just want to add Alvin to what Jagdish sir mentioned. I would like to say that yeah, it's good to be passionate. When you're working, and I'm sure our team is definitely passionate. But you need to know how to do time management.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
you need to have your meals on time. You need to constantly drink water because you just can't skip all that. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Eh, yeah, so please practice effective time management, and yes, you be passionate about what you do. Okay, and I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear that.
Thank you.
But
Yeah.
use social there, use chats, use technology to the fullest, because I think it will be very useful to you. Like in cases where you are disturbed, right? I understand
Mhm.
everybody has its own priorities, her priorities. There are families to manage, and these times are very difficult for us, very stressed out. Use
Mhm.
technology at the best. But the important point is keep the channel open. The only mantra to your problem, Alfin, is keep the communication channel open. That's
Mhm.
important. And the moment you
Mhm.
do that, you will see everybody giving you a lot of support and backing you.
Got it.
Sure.
That's
Yeah.
All
true.
right. Good. All right. Any other question?
Yeah, I think most of the questions that we had, I think Jagdish has completely answered them with all the information that he's provided. For me, does anyone else have any questions that they would like to ask before we go ahead and ask him for a few tips or?
Hi, sir. My name is Keith. I'm a content specialist and I work with Natasha in the content marketing team. Um, as per my personal experience, my father works in State Bank of India, and during the lockdown, he had to go to work every day. They had no work from home option, and I was always puzzled why they never, gave him that option. So, if you could please provide a few guidelines on how to handle highly regulated data while working from home.
Hi, Keith. Good afternoon. Thanks for bringing that in. State Bank is one of my biggest customers in India, and you can never match somebody with a likes of 25,000 plus branches, 50,000 plus ATMs. So these PSUs typically, when I talk to the leaders, were confined with a lot of CVC guidelines, and they are not wrong in saying that. Why? Because they never had an policy guideline to say how will we work from home. I've worked with SBI. I've worked with the DMD, Mr. Tambe. I've worked with the CTO, Amal Pai, very great, very good friend, comes from Yes Bank. See, also you need to understand that they had a BCP in place, which was the backup continuity plan, which is like plan B for me, right? But nobody thought the way pandemic would come and affect them, impact them. They had to put this in place. There were grills, there were drills that they were doing, there were mock drills and all. But in order to let your father work from home, and I'm not being, I don't want to be personal here. I want to be very subjective and to the core, right? The problem that you stated. They had to have apps which are ready to be basically either migrated to cloud or Megdut is their what they use as private cloud internally. Megdut is what their name is. they were not ready in terms of beefing up capacity so that all the people were there, right? I had a similar experience with another bank, Bank of India. Those people were asked, but they were asked 3 days in a week, alternate days. If Keith was to come on a Monday, Wednesday, Friday roster, Irfan would be coming on a Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday roster, right? But then they were compelled. They were compelled singularly because they never saw this coming to them as a tsunami. If you see tsunami hitting, what do? First, you basically have an escape route. You save yourself, right? And then you worry for the later part. They had now been ready that we need to have a proper BCP in plan. We need to invest so that we check all the applications and people that are there. See, I never asked you what your father's pay grade was, role was, designation was, right? But it was mandated to them because it was a core function. They could not have lost it at that time.
Okay.
Right? And natively in SBI, what happens is people are used to going to a branch rather than doing all the channels, right? In SDFC, I have an SDFC account. I have never been to my base branch ever since I've opened an account. I always use net banking, mobile banking, and stuff like that. So I've never even visited my relationship manager. I don't even know what his face looks like. Nonetheless, the private sector, public sector banks, people are used to going to a branch. And in doing that, they can't shut their branches. But I think ideally, most of the public sector people that I talked to are guarded, are very well regulated, were highly regulated. And in that sense, they needed permissions from Reserve Bank of India, likes of their own leaders. And there is a policy that is getting drafted, I'm aware, while we are talking today on Saturday, that how do we manage workforce, remote workforce management. So you got to give it to them. Some people are very matured and some people are getting there, right, on a cusp of maturity curve. So they would also eventually come there. But then I think what SBI saw was, how can I keep Keith as a customer first and see whatever it comes, even if it's a distress for your father to come in and walk in on a branch. But my experience to Keith is very, very important to me. I can't lose that customer, right?
True. True.
Got
Make
it.
sense? So
Yes.
it had IT investments, it had a lot of regulation stuff that was there because yeah, banks na policy mein they go lot of book. They go only by book 1A, 1B, 1B, 1C. They are prisoners of their processes, if I may say. So pardon me for that. They will not look outside of that.
Right. That's a good
All right.
rookie terminal.
Thank you, sir. Yeah.
All right. Anything? Anybody else?
I would like to ask Jagdish sir, that in this pandemic, I feel like we have, improved our living styles, and I feel like the pandemic has given us a new way of, looking at the world, because we have discovered a lot of ways for being self-sufficient and everything, and doing our own works and all, and improved our personality. I feel like. And on the technology side, the companies are also being more efficient and agile towards maintaining their offices and HR policies and the human resources. So I feel like the V curve that we talk about in the economics, that the improvement of the economy would be V curves. So is it the same expectation from the technology leaders that we are going to move a very far away ahead, when it compares to 2019 or 2020 data of industrialization or new technologies companies booming up? Because now we can start a new company with 500 different employees sitting in different parts of the world without having to pay for their infrastructure, bringing them to the location of the office and all. So what do you say, Jagdish sir, regarding this one?
I will take your permission, Azim. Whom do you report to in this window of people that I see? Who's your manager?
Irfan.
So did Irfan give you a 40% increment during pandemic time? Because I heard you saying lifestyle change. And with lifestyle change, there's a price that you pay, right? So I'm very excited to know if there was a pay increase in your check that you took in pandemic on a lighter side. A
I
lifestyle
would have
means that you
enjoyed
have.
that if I got.
Yeah, so you said lifestyle change. So lifestyle change means that there is a dollar increase, right? In my take home. But nonetheless, we also I am seeing a salary cut. And it's a massive salary cut because we as leaders had to look at human capital. And we had two choices. Let people go or we take a hit till the time that we are over this. And we thought for the latter part that we need to take a cut so that we resist, we deal with people. Nonetheless, keeping that aside, answering your question, yes, there is a massive digital transformation exercise that's way ahead. The people who are laggards, who never thought about it, have to now go and look at it because they know if we don't perform, they'll perish, right? And likes of all my subordinate, public sector banks that I just mentioned. I was just in a innovation workshop virtually and the MD asked us that all my millennials are going to private banks, and I have spent about 500. And Keith would know. Keith, you know, right, from SBI, you only need one, the app that
Yeah,
they have,
true,
and they are
true.
massively struggling to get millennials to get onboarded, right? So she said that, what is it that we could do to make a 3x gain on millennials coming to me rather than they going and banking with an HDFC, IndusInd, ICICI, or Axis. And that is where the question goes. What is your appetite for technology? So you
Right.
got to be basically mindful where your brand is. How do you position yourself? Where you calibrate yourself? Are you a traditional banker? Are you a traditional enterprise who's not willing to change? And then you got to come out of your conservative web. You got to be willing to spend money, right? Because technology comes at a cost, guys. It's no more open source. It's no more, oh, we get something like community software, we'll put it up and all. Enterprises don't run on community software, right? So you got to be basically will have a capacity to spend, capacity to again coming back to people, retrain, reskill your people. Are they ready for the new normal? And if you're not, then I think you need to look at your business overall of how are you doing. But most of these enterprises that I've seen, new age
Mm-hmm.
insurtechs or fintechs, are
Right.
all geared up. You look at Cred today. You know Cred, CRED.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
What are they doing? They are just an aggregator of all credit card payments in the country, but they're doing wonderfully well, right?
Right.
You look at Zest Money, you look at Click Capital. I can give you hazar examples. They
Sure.
are the ones who took the leap of faith and invested significantly in IT technology,
Right.
and they are now there to gain. So the
Got
world is going to be co-creation. World is going to be co-collaboration, co-selling, co-partnering with banks. Banks can't be saying that, hey, I am a 25,000 branch guy. Go take a walk, Irfan. I don't want to partner with you. No choice. Sorry, sir. State Bank of India, no choice. Sorry, Keith. Nothing personal, but you don't have a choice. If you have to grow, you got to have that mindset of co-partnering, co-building. It's
True.
all about API these days, right? It's all about one API, and you can basically bring down a bank.
got it. Got it.
Azim, does that answer your question?
Yeah, very perfectly, I guess.
All right.
Irfan, make sure that you give him that. He's already alluded to the fact that his lifestyle and changes are coming your way.
I know. I know. I know. All right.
Yeah.
Anything else,
Yeah.
guys? In closing, anything else? It was
I
fantastic talking to you guys. Thanks for the opportunity, Irfan.
Thank you. Thank you, Jack.
I was about to say that, sir. Thanks for the for your time.
No, I think I could make some sense out of this 38 minutes for you guys.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Right. All right.
Thank you
Thanks.
so
Thanks.
much.
Thanks,
Take care.
Jagdish, sir. Have a great weekend.
Yeah.
All the
Thank you.
best.
Thanks,
Stay,
guys.
Thank you.
stay
Thank you so
safe,
much,
stay
sir.
blessed, all of you. Bye.
Thank you.
You
Bye-bye.
too.
Thank you so
Bye-bye.
much, sir.